So that means you have to read, Chelsea. You're a good reader. How we doing? All right. I'd love for you guys to read it out loud. So go through. Simon, if you want to move in over a little so that you can hear. You good? Are you going to talk today?
Yeah.
It would help me.
Discovered that the Brazilian snakes may be eating even more than experts expected.
Okay.
Some seem to be having
Okay. So if it helps to fill this out as you're going, kind of keep some notes. You don't have to. The back is the assignment, yeah. But, yeah. You guys reading it together or separate?
Separately working as a group.
Okay, well how about if once everybody's read this first section, let's summarize and talk about what it's about. Does that sound good? Because what I'd like you to do is just kind of, as you hit each section, just kind of summarize together as a group what it's talking about. And highlight if there's anything important, or if you want to mark off some cause and problems here, you can do that. Okay? What's up? No, deer is plural and singular. Yep. There are a couple of typo things in here that kind of bothered me. So if you catch those, let me know. Extra points.
Could be an indication of how efficiently the snakes have adapted to the marshes. Bubak is a herpetologist, the scientist who studies reptiles and amphibians. Highlighting as I read.
Excellent.
And then she's going to compare and see how we're doing.
Awesome. What'd you think? What's this about? What's that first section? So summarize now what that first section's about. Is there anything on here that you can kind of fill out that might help you? You don't have to use that if you don't want. It's just a graphic organizer if it helps you to synthesize the information.
What a snake can eat, and that they cause great damage to the ecosystem of the new habitat.
Yeah.
They reproduce quickly,
Yep.
disrupt the natural food chain.
Good. You guys talk about the first section yet?
No, we're reading it first to ourselves.
Let's go. Do me a favor and read a section at a time and talk. So you don't have to read it out loud if you want, but I kind of wanted you to read it out loud. But let's go ahead. What's that first section about?
Snakes in the Everglades.
A little more specific.
They were testing their fecal matter and finding out what they were eating.
Are the snakes supposed to be there?
No, from like Asia or something.
They're what?
I think they're from like Asia, possibly.
Any guesses on how they might have gotten there?
People letting them out when they got too big, maybe.
It's exactly it. People get tired. Some of them actually escape from the homes, but some of them people just get tired of having a pet snake and they'd let them go. A little scary.
What is the meaning of invasive species?
That's exactly what it is. An invasive species is, so it says right there, can cause great damage to ecosystems of their new habitat. So they invaded it. They're not natural to that area. So notice how it says new habitat, because they're not supposed to be there. They invaded that area and they're kind of taking over. Oftentimes an invasive species doesn't have anything to prey on it. So there's nothing to eat it. So it kind of takes over.
At that rate, the invaders could pose a more urgent threat to the marsh.
How are we doing?
Marsh habitat already
Do we each need a sheet?
overpopulation.
Did I not give you one? I'm sorry. Oh yeah, I'll get it for you. What did you say?
No, I was trying to
Discussing
figure out the cause and effect.
The cause and the effect of here.
The cause would be
Are we
what it's a
talking about
random
is it?
snake, and the effect would be the sizzler, all you can eat buffet.
This may be where the nightmares expected. And what do you say? The cause is there's a ravenous snake, and what did you say? What's the effect?
Sizzler?
Having
All you can eat buffet?
You're right. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I like that. I'll take that. Yeah, as long as you describe what that means. Oh gosh. Yeah, that works.
We can't figure out what the marsh is.
What a marsh. So like a swamp. Did you Google it?
I know, but I still cannot. You don't understand what it's like a swamp, and I guess it grows inside.
Yeah, so it's really overly saturated ground. So like it's really wet, and then there are pools of water included in that. But a lot of times it's just like,
It's like mud and water.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
I'm surprised that doesn't say that in here.
Well, I guess we're supposed to know it.
There may be some.
And that's where usually snakes live.
What do you got? What'd you get for the second section? Pythons are taking over the Everglades. What was that about? This part right here, Fayez. What do you think that's about?
Oh, they're like eating more than they should be eating.
What are they eating?
Like deer, a lot of them.
A lot of deer. They had they found 12 deer hooves. Did you get that? They found 12 deer hooves in the one stomach.
Yeah.
Or I guess it was in the fecal matter, they found the 12 deer hooves, which means 3 deer, provided they all had 4 legs. That's pretty bad. All right, keep going. Do you start to see a food chain here? Where's the snake fitting into this food chain?
The top. Well, the alligator was on top, but then it just came and wiped them out. Not wiped them out, but you know.
It'd be interesting to know, that'd be a good thing to possibly research later, is that who wins between an alligator and a python?
Python.
Or
Well, if on land, maybe the python.
does it say that? Does it say anything about that in here? No. So it's kind of interesting, but that's,
But I've seen, pythons eat alligators on the videos and stuff. Those,
Is
National
there
Geographic
anywhere
videos.
it does say. Did you see that?
No, I didn't read it. But
Okay. So keep reading, because you'll see something about alligators in there. Keep reading.
There is a different food chain for python.
Well, it's kind of, food chains are all very similar, but depending on where you are, there's going to be different animals and stuff in the food chain, right? So that's kind of what I was like wanting you to create, was a food chain based on this ecosystem, on this habitat. Like, what would it look like there with the python stuck in it? Okay, and because we'll talk about the conclusion with that. But as you're reading, remember you're trying to identify things as you're reading it that would be part of the food chain in this area. So like, I'm not seeing voles in this area. See what I'm saying? They're not really talking about hawks. It's not to say that they might not be around. It's just that what they're talking about here isn't really including those things. So as you're reading, remember that's one of the things that you're looking at. That graphic organizer I gave you has some spots in there to put down animals that you might include, or creatures or organisms that might be included in the food chain. Okay?
So this is from this, we're using this.
Yep. The graphic organizer I gave you, like I said, you don't necessarily have to fill out the whole thing because I'm not collecting that. That was more to just help you organize and synthesize what you're reading.
We're just making our own chain or something.
You're going to make your own food chain looking like this on a piece of paper that I give you. Ready to draw? What do you mean? I was looking for some artwork.
Which researchers know, because they look at the fat in females to measure their reproductive ability? The snake examined in a study had a large amount of fat and a large amount of baby snakes in the making.
How we doing? Are we still in the first?
What?
You can keep going.
Oh.
I just wanted you to do the first section and then move on.
Understand. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't make that clear. Yeah, then go on. I just wanted you to do section by section and talk about each section. Not just go ahead and then, that's all I was saying. Sorry. Sorry for confusing you.
So as we're doing this food chain thing, this whole thing.
That whole thing goes in there because there's some good information, even like this last section has some interesting parts about food that could help you with the food chain.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard to pick everything out on that first page.
Yeah.
I'm like poop, python, and deer.
Hey, you got something though. There you go. Yeah.
Seen pythons eating deer, but the problem is we have only found a couple, and now we have one of them that ate 3. Holy cow, that's a lot.
What'd you say?
It's like, that's a lot, because they found a 14-foot snake that ate 3 deer. They found 12 hoofs in the.
Yeah. It's a lot. I know.
So gross.
It is kind of gross. Aren't you glad I chose this for the morning?
So then we have deer, we have snakes. They're called pythons, right?
Yep. Yeah, it is. What else do you see in there?
Lizards.
Yep.
Lizards and what? Alligators.
How we doing?
Yeah, we're doing our things pretty okay. This is what you want us to kind of describe.
Sure, you can, that was just to kind of help you as you're reading the article. Did you guys get to, are you coming up with things that are part of this food chain?
Yeah.
All right, did you figure out what the habitat is like? What's it like where they're living?
They're overpopulating the area.
Yeah, the snakes are, yeah, they're definitely, you got on that first page where they said invasive species, right? They're definitely an invasive species because they're trying to take things over. Yep, and if you look, did you finish this last paragraph yet? You still getting there? Okay. I won't,
Is it the conclusion?
yeah, I don't want to spoil it for you.
Okay.
I'll let you read it. Are you coming up with anything else?
What? Yes.
Nothing? When you get to this last page, there's a whole bunch that'll help you with the food chain.
There's another page.
The article that keeps going, Austin. Okay. So here's what I want you to think about as you're writing all this down. You're coming up with great ideas. Use this to help you too to figure out. Are you doing that? Look at you guys. Nice job. I'll be quiet. Yeah, that's the end assignment. You don't have to do this. I was saying, you're doing it right? Yeah. That's the end. If you read there, that's the end assignments on the back. There you go. They're just getting done reading this. Come up, there's not a whole lot of talk here. Let's talk as a group before you start on this with what things, did you get to that last paragraph? Right, we talked about that last paragraph. Did you get to that last section yet? Have you read that yet, Fayez? Okay. Why don't you read that out loud? Fayez, that last section to the group here. And as he's reading, start identifying some of the things you can put in that food chain because they do a good job of naming some of them there, okay? I'm going to take about 5 more minutes and we're going to regroup really quick. And then I'll let you work again.
The snake examining the
You're going to write it on there eventually, it'll be your final copy, but we're going to take some notes and things on here first. So like if you look here, I'm kind of describing what I want you to do. Did you highlight, did you find some things in them?
For the food chain? Yeah.
All right, are you writing this down somewhere?
Yes.
Okay.
Am I? Yes. Yes, I am.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's what I was looking for. And then use that, the items they're naming in here, and use this to kind of help you, because you got to support it. You can't just go, oh, I think the food chain looks like this. You got to support it with text. Does that make sense? How are we doing? You guys are doing great.
And then lizards, do lizards eat grass?
What?
Lizards, do they eat grass?
Oh, that'd be a good question. You can Google it.
Okay, let's see what alligators eat. Yeah.
So there's a spot on this, kind of for the food chain type things, right? Did you find some animals? All right. Use the two then. Use that and this to try to figure out how you put it together. But you want to be able to support what you're saying. So you got to know where in the text that's coming from, because you can't just, it's not just winging it. What'd you say?
The snake and the alligator.
What about them?
I mean, you said you wanted the food chain, right?
Yeah.
I'm
You're coming up with it? All right. You can use other, if you're wanting to verify or you're feeling like you've got some evidence here, make sure you're supporting what you're saying. It's not just a guess.
Is every cycle supposed to start off with the plant this? Or do we start off with our lowest?
There's usually, so if you notice, this is actually the start. They've got the food chain looking like this, just kind of go this way. But if you look at it, yeah, I mean, all of these are important parts. The decomposers are huge. Without the decomposers, we don't get the plants growing, because that's where everything's coming out of. That's giving the nutrients to the ground to grow the plants. So, but the plants are your base. What's really the base? What did we say was the source of all energy? The sun. Yeah, the sun is the source of all energy.
Actually, they do because
But lizards.
they're a little fly.
Okay,
Read it, because that'll give you some ideas too, but it does.
I know. That's what I was gonna say. Like, for here it says, in here it says, so it lists what they eat. So we would.
Well, it's kind of saying what's endangered there, right? All these things are at risk of being eaten.
Okay. But that's the food chain.
Yes.
So what do we start off with? What I'm asking is who do we start off with? Because it doesn't tell you the order.
No, it doesn't.
That's why I'm confused.
So use the resources in front of you to figure out where you think how you would draw your food chain. And it's a cycle though. You see how it goes all in a circle? That's why it's called a food chain, because it's constantly linking. So it's not like there's a start and an end, right? So it's more a matter of what order do you put things in there. Does that make sense? And sometimes there might be a couple things that are at the same spot. Because there's a couple things that might eat plants, right? And there's several, things that a python eats. So there might be a couple things that share a spot. Does that help?
I don't think lizards eat plants. I think they eat insects. So I could be wrong.
Some of them. Some of them, yeah, I used to have a few lizards. So I had a few lizards to eat carrots and stuff.
Crickets. I used to always have to go buy crickets for the lizards.
Some iguanas eat carrots.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
They're the only vegetation? Yeah. So it depends on the type. Because I had to go buy, for the bearded dragon, we had to buy crickets and worms. Yeah. All right. Okay. Actually, there's a lot of good talking going on. I don't want to interrupt. So keep talking. Okay. So you guys have a great food chain going.
But do alligators eat snakes? No. Do they? No. Let me go.
What did it say? You don't even need to look there. Look in your look at the text. What did it say? Everglades nearly.
Nearly every marsh animal is at risk, from lizards, birds, up to the food chains to that also.
Nearly every animal is at risk, all the way to the alligators.
Snakes eat them, so maybe it's backwards.
Now, I don't know. Maybe some alligators are chomping on some snakes too. Not really sure, but I'm gonna guess that when they write this in here, that's our evidence coming from this text that they're definitely at risk. That those snakes, those snakes were like 14 feet, 18 feet long. Yeah, so if they're wrapping around an alligator. So again, Where are you getting your evidence? Be able to pull a sentence. Does it have to be a circle? You know what, though? You can have arrows going a couple different directions, or like I was telling them, you could have multiple animals maybe at one spot if you wanted to include that.
So then we can do that.
Well, because
Right here, right?
I need. What are we thinking here? How'd you come up with that? Where's your support for all that? Yes, ma'am.
So what exactly do you want us to write?
You don't have to write anything there. Yeah, I'm just looking for. I want our end goal is I want you to create a food chain.